Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So Heimdall has gotten buffed. So in this video we're going to take a look at his damage output, as well as I'm kind of going to mention my thoughts and opinions about the buff. So I did take my 6-star to rank 5. I ascended him because why not? And let's bring him into the quest. So Heimdall effectively got an ability to crossfight ramp or ramp further than he did before with level 3 if that is needed and you're kind of like in a very long fight. In generic fights, you will not really have to use that level 3 because, again, the fight will be over before you gain like 10 buffs. 5 Furies, 5 Precisions, and you're kind of going to be good. In this situation here, I technically could have probably went for level 3 and gained a bit more of a ramp, but I didn't. Decided against it. But the idea is the way he works now, every time you block a hit or land a hit, you gain 10 charges. And then the next action you do decides what buff you gain. So once you get 100 charges, if you land a medium, you get a fury. If you land a light, you gain a precision. If you get hit or block a hit, you get an armor up, which you don't necessarily want to do too often unless there is specific circumstance around it, like, I don't know, Havoc, for instance. But in general, it's kind of very simple to play. Once you gain that buff, you drop a heavy attack, and that makes that buff permanent. So that is how you kind of save them in. Then you can save like 5 buffs of each kind in a fight, but if you need more, you can go to level 3 and do it that way. But again, in most of the fights, you will not really need to do that outside of like massive length fights. Maybe the first fight of the quest. Maybe at this point, maybe I should have went for level 3 instead of that level 2, considering that I was already like at 5 Furies, but I decided that I'll grab some precisions as well. And here I go in with the light, so I get the precision, and that's how he works. Level 2 is kind of his damage special. It's unblockable. It gives you that overload buff or whatever it is that lets you do the red numbers. And then, here I do make a mistake, so I'm going to have that armor buff, which I don't like. But fine, whatever. And now I will try to get in a light. I think I'm going to mess up somewhere. Yeah, here I shouldn't have parried this at all. But fine, so be it. I'm going to save up that armor as well. And here I didn't want to. Oh, here I timed it perfectly to get in that precision. And I could have finished this fight probably slightly quicker if I went to level 2 instead of level 1. That probably would have been enough. But effectively, we can see the length of the first fight here after the buff. Still quite long. And I do think it's going to be a problem. It was like 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Let's say I would do it in 2 minutes. That's a long time. 2 minutes for Realm of Legends fight, as I'm going to show later on, is quite long. And then obviously, since he kind of carries on his ramp up, you're good. For the second fight, you already have reasonable damage output, I would say. And then for the third fight onwards, your damage output would be considered good. And realistically, like, Heimdall actually does have a use now. Like, you can bring him in someplace, and not all the time, he is going to be a noodle. For instance, something like Elder Difficulty Quest now. That's not going to require you to swap out after every fight. He works very well with some of the Cosmic nodes because he does gain a ton of buffs. And with that, he carries on his ramp up. He would be good, great for that type of stuff. But again, incursions. He would carry over his crossfight ramp up. There are a ton of nodes that interact with the said buffs, and he was quite good for that. My kind of problem with him is, and I know that somebody's again going to scream, not every champion has to be good for BGs and all that other stuff. Realistically, my question is like, why do I rank him up? I will answer that question in a bit later, but realistically, it's like, what for? Do I rank up a champion that's good for incursions? No, I don't think I ever have, and I don't think I ever will, or at least I don't remember when I have done that specifically for incursions. Because again, there are tons of champions that are great for incursions that I already have ranked up, so I don't find the need to rank him up for that. Do I rank up a champion for like Elder Difficulty Monthly Quest? Abso-freaking-lutely not. Especially considering how many champions are already insanely amazing there. So that's gonna be a no there, right? I don't think anybody ranks up champions for Elder Quest. And you know what? I'm sure he's going to be a good champion for some lane in Act 9.4. But so will a bunch of others. You know, Thanos will have equally good damage output without needing to ramp up for 3 fights. So I don't think questing is going to decide that. And maybe there will be a node and champion combination that, you know, where he's very good for in Alliance 4. I actually do think he has some sort of defensive viability now as well. In some sort of nuke metas perhaps, because you know, unstoppable on level 1, kind of trickier to deal with, and will stall at the very least. Unblockable, undexable level 2. That's, you know, again requiring a specific counter. Neutralizes don't really work on him, I believe, anymore. So he might have some defensive value, which again would be good enough reason for me to rank him if it turns out that he does. And then there is obviously going to be the elephant in the room, which is that we're going to see a lot of rank 4 Heimdalls because he's top 13 in prestige now. That's right, he has higher prestige than Serpent and Okoye. He's just below Baron Zemo. He's number 13 in the game. That is realistically the one reason why we're going to see him ranked up quite frequently, I think, and plus maybe minuscule defensive value. Maybe it's going to be a decent defensive value. But since he's a new Titan champion and people will be pulling him in Titan, the question for me is, would you be happy to pull him from your Titan Crystal? Assuming you have like 0 champions in Titan Crystal out of all the champions, would you be happy to pull? I don't think there's a single person that would. Even if you have like a bunch of champions in it, I don't think most people would be happy to see Heimdall coming from it, even after his buff. And that's kind of the story here, and that's also been a fairly active discussion here. Obviously, he's a lot better. The problem is, what he's good at doesn't really have any value. And before somebody's going to start coming to me and he's probably going to be good for Coliseum, well, first of all, we'll see, because his ramp up isn't all that fast. Right, so we're going to see if he's actually good for something in Coliseum. And the second thing, even if he is, as I discussed in my previous video, I currently don't think Coliseum to be a worthwhile reason to rank up champions on for specifically, because whether you do 15 bars or whether you do 20 bars with the champion in solo Coliseum, the difference is you're going to spend 25 less or more energy, which I don't, you know, 25 energy every 2 weeks, I don't think is a reason to rank for a champion. And in Alliance Coliseum, again, grinding the podium levels is the most important thing rather than how many bars you clear. And for grinding the podium levels as well, you generally want a champion that accesses the damage fast and gets to the 8 health bar clear quicker, because that's the cap, that's the maximum amount of XP that you can gain, and anything past 8 bars when you're grinding podium levels doesn't really matter. And so even time-wise, it wouldn't be like some sort of massive saving to, you know, use a ramp-up champion there. Not to mention that Alliance Coliseum rewards are absolutely atrocious to begin with. Rank rewards, I mean. So to me personally, Coliseum is nowhere good of a reason to rank up a champion for, specifically for that. So that's kind of my questions, like, and you can, and I'm expressly trying to find positives of Heimdall and things that he could be good for here. But the real question is, aside from the fact whether you would be happy to pull him in the Titan Crystal, what do you do with the champion? Like what is the reason do you rank him up? What for? Outside of prestige. Because now we have established that he's now high prestige, a bunch of people will rank him up for that. But even if you do pull a Heimdall and you do take him to rank 4, what do you do with him? Where do you use him? How often do you use him for that? And Heimdall, to me, currently is a champion without that answer. Right? And you can use him like once a month, every 2 months, or every month even in like Elder difficulty quest, but you can also rank up somebody like, you know, Khal, for instance, or a plethora of other cosmic champions that will also smash that piece of content. If you really want to, you can. I just don't think it's worth it. and also something like Incursions that we play every other month. But again, you can just use Angela, for instance, with Odin Synergy, or you can Yal, or you can bring Spider Woman, or you can bring Silk and Okoye, and so many different champions. Why would I want that to be? I don't think there is a very good answer to that, truthfully. And you know, you can kind of take it for what you will and take it for what you want. Once he ramps up, he is kind of fun. So obviously fun, and since this is a game and it's meant to be enjoyed, it's a valid argument. But vast majority of the content, you wouldn't even want to try and use him for like casual and quick questing because ramp up, and he's very slow initially. And these are kind of the numbers that we're going to go over in a second. That I'm going to pull up. We're obviously going to finish these fights because, you know, by the end, obviously he does hit very hard. Here we can obviously battle the Wolverine's regeneration, and we're going to outdamage it quite easily. A bit longer than I would have wanted to, but now we have the last couple of fights. Let's see how well he does, basically fully ramped up after at the end of 11 fight quest. And how outstanding those results are even then. Because again, this type of situation generally doesn't happen often, right? But this would be like the perfect showcase scenario for Heimdall. He's got like 9 fights at this point. I have like 20 Furies, 10 Precision, some armors. Like, we're doing good damage. At this point, it is a very good damage. But how good is that damage? So there, I want to parry. I wanted to bait out at level 1, but fine, whatever. I could have saved up a few more Furies for sure. By the way, I just wanted to let you guys know his damage output could have been slightly higher as well. And here we are. So 1 second, we're gonna stop that. Well, we're gonna finish this and then we're gonna stop that. So this is gonna be a quick fight. I think this is obviously naturally gonna be the quickest fight that we have. Right, we have the 20 Furies, sweet. We're building up to that level 2 with critting a ton, which feels awesome, which is always great. I'm gonna dex that. I'm gonna go in for this. Let's drop that. Sweet. Combo finishing. This is fast as we can. Good. What was the fight time here? It was 25, 27 seconds, something like that. So, first fight time. Actually, don't like this Apple's new system for video playback at all. The first fight was like 2 minutes, right? So let's get to that. First fight is X. I am fairly bad at this. I'm not a big fan of this iOS update when it comes to video stuff. Alright, so the first fight is 2 minutes and 14, and that was fairly consistent. Check out the second fight. That is 59 seconds, so 1 minute. I'm not gonna count this. Let's count, I don't know, the fourth fight against Rhino. Sure, why not? Fourth fight is 46 seconds. Then majority of the fight somewhere along here. Let's say Vision. 34 seconds. I think the final one is like 25 seconds, right? Okay, so the final fight here is 25 seconds. And then we have champions in game like Okoye. That is like 45 seconds. Fight 1, no ramp up needed. Like 3 times as fast for fight 1. Significantly still faster for fight 2. And then fight 3, maybe you kind of catch up. And then we have like Juggernaut that did 29 seconds, which is basically as good as Heimdall got by the time he ramped up. But okay, those are like nukes. average damage champion. We have Thorjane Foster. She isn't considered to be a nuke. Basically, does the same time after Heimdall, after one fight of ramp up. So obvious like that his initial fight is inadequately slow. So what can we take away from it? I think Kabam could have actually made Heimdall kind of like more popular. And again, I kind of feel like Kabam doesn't think they have to do that anymore. Like, you know, for a while, Kabam did special abilities specifically for Battlegrounds. Like Kal had, you know, he starts with 2 of his Call Force charges and 2 extra charges in Battlegrounds. All of a sudden, he becomes viable for Battlegrounds because that's kind of enough to have him be a good damage output champion. And we have other, you know, champions like that. I don't know, Spider-Punk, who starts halfway ramped up in Battlegrounds for him to be more in line and more, you know, potentially viable in Battlegrounds. And they could have easily done that with Heimdall. Had they given him like, you know, 1 fight ramp up specifically in Battlegrounds, like 5 buffs of each at that, people would look at this champion differently with, you know, unlikely but maybe some potential uses in the Battlegrounds. As it stands right now, he just, as far as the game for me right now is concerned, and I know this could be like a very personal opinion, I don't think he has a reason to exist in my deck outside of Prestige. Again, and the synergies. But I don't think the buff has any reason. I don't see myself ranking him and using for just about anything, really. Or if I will, it's going to be because of Prestige, and then if I end up using, it's only going to be because he happened to be already rank 4. And at that point, it's going to be kind of manufactured convenience from Kabam that I even look at in here. So that's Heimdall. He does have like some niche bits of utility. Obviously, he does. Take a look at him in game then for a second. So we have updated ability that he can cheat death himself. So that also can work defensively because it would be, you know, like stalling a bit longer in a nuke meta, for example. Immunity to Fate Seal will kind of switch off few Mystic champions. 60% resistance to poison and incinerate. Personal boss had 200% increased ability accuracy, so neutralize will not work here really. And if one fails due to an immunity, it re-triggers as passive with 50% increased base duration and 25% base potency. You know, that's kind of nice. So some mystics will not work yet. And yeah. The way I look at Heimdall right now is he could be maybe okay enough defender under specific circumstances, like a niche defender. And obviously he's a Prestige. But again, is he somebody you'd be happy to pull from a Titan Crystal? Is he somebody that you personally find desirable, want to use and plan to use frequently and often? I don't think so. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next one. Hello there, guys, and